the ancient land of Israel is a testimony, an evidence of the greatness of what God did in that country, a testimony to the truth of the words that we find in the pages of the Bible.
Jungle in here. It's gorgeous. Look at the desert up there. Here's your picture, John. Look at the wilderness up above you. 100 feet away, nothing. Well, you talk about water being life. Look at that. Look at the water coming down. Incredible.
Being in the wilderness makes water very special. It helps one understand why God was seen as the one who brought water. The Bible tells the story of King David wandering around in the wilderness of Israel, running away, running for his life from King Saul. And then he came to an oasis, one of those beautiful spots in that dry, almost dead wilderness, where life is possible because there's water. And water is life.
What an incredibly beautiful place here this morning. Almost like an amphitheater. You look around and up above, not 100 feet from us, you're right out in the wilderness. Incredible. We came up here this morning, and as you enter this canyon, this wadi here in the Judea wilderness, absolute barrenness. Remember the dust by the Dead Sea and the rocks and just a broom tree here and there, and almost like the country is totally barren. And then suddenly you come to this place in the jungle and the reeds and the water and the sounds of animals and the ibex running around. Really a glorious, glorious place. To the east of us is the Dead Sea, maybe a mile. We're in the Judea wilderness. To the west of us, the Judea mountains, not all that far. In fact, if you go 10 or 15 miles, you'll be where they're actually doing farming and people are raising crops. It's hard to imagine. And we're in one of those wadi canyons that comes down out of those mountains and runs to the Dead Sea. Now somewhere just up above us here, a little bit further to the west, there's a spring that runs right out of the rock. A stream of water runs a short distance and then comes falling down these stones and makes its way here down the canyon, where eventually it's trapped, of course, and used. You wouldn't waste good water. But that's the wadi, or the oasis of En-Gedi. A couple of Bible contexts in which this is important. David has been hiding out from Saul. We spoke of that at Masada, that fortress, and he's there in the desert, going probably from cave to cave and fortress to fortress, and it seems like every place he goes, somehow Saul finds out, and so David has to move, and he's been living there maybe for months in the barrenness of that desert with those men that he had surrounded himself with, and trying to find his escape from Saul, wondering how God was going to finally give him the kingdom that he'd been promised. And you can almost feel that. I want you to feel the heat of Masada, and the burning of the sun, and the dust that we felt yesterday in the Negev. Finally, the Bible says David came here to the strongholds of En-Gedi. Hope you can feel the impact that this must have had on them, just to feel this refreshing coolness and water and the shade of the jungle. Just an amazing thing. Now, it's based on that kind of experience that the Bible begins to talk about water. Psalms in particular, maybe David was reflecting back on this place, or at least some place like it. The first one comes from Psalm 63. O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My body longs for you in a dry and weary land where there is no water. And David thinks, you know, in a way that's what life is like. just dry, it's barren. Sometimes there's just not much by way of refreshment and encouragement. And he said, I just long for you like I long for this place when I'm out living in the desert. And in Psalm 42, same concept. He says, as the deer pants for streams of water, my soul pants for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When can I go and meet with God? After David was here for a while, Saul comes up the canyon. And David and his men are hiding in a cave. We saw caves in the side of the walls of the rock. David and his men are in there, and Saul steps away from his army and goes in to use the restroom into the cave where David is. David's men, of course, think, hey, here's our chance. We got this guy alone in this cave. Let's end it. Let's get this kingdom. And I think of the parallel between David and Jesus at that point. David says, no, that's not the battle plan. It's not the sword. I'm not going to do it that way. Let's instead do it God's way.